Crystalline Podcast. Crystalline Podcast.
Conversations to inspire.
Hello and welcome to the Crystalline Podcast. Inspirational conversations with extraordinary folk. This week we sat down with Chloé Silverman. Enjoy.
Okay, welcome. Today I'm joined by Chloé Silverman, founder of Real Naturo and creator of the Naturo method, with over 15 years of experience as a naturopath working across continents. She combines natural medicine, emotional therapy, and quantum coaching to support transformation from the inside out. Her work has reached everyone from royalty to refugees and has been featured in some top outlets like BBC Radio and Women's Health magazine. So without further ado, Chloé, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you. Really good. I'm over in Central America and it's a beautiful day here. Life is good.
What part of Central America?
We're in Panama.
Ah, Panama, eh? How's
Yeah.
that treating you then?
Amazing. It's the freshest place I've ever been. The freshest air. You get spring water coming out of the taps. There's hot springs just down the road. It's
Oh, that
paradise.
sounds ideal. So you're doing good on the nutrition front there, then I'm guessing.
Yeah, fruit straight off the trees. Simple. Yeah.
Quality meat at all?
Really good meat. We're about 2,500 meters up. And so there's green pastures everywhere and lots of cattle. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So for the people who maybe don't know you yet, maybe give them a little brief synopsis of your journey and what it is you do.
Okay. So I'm a naturopath, which for those that don't know, that's a nutritionist and a medical herbalist kind of put together in one degree. My journey probably started on the dance floor with my first ever ecstasy pill that blasted open my heart when I was 19 years old. Um, and then that took me to a juice cleanse retreat 17 years ago that was in Thailand, at a little place called the Sanctuary. And it was there really, I was studying nursing at the time, and it was there that I read up on juice cleansing, on the benefits of doing a mono fruit diet of just cherries for cancer. I read up about traditional Chinese medicine, and I had so much clarity of mind and so much focus in this 4-day juice cleanse that it shifted something inside of me. And I decided that conventional medicine wasn't for me. I wasn't going to continue down that path. And I needed to find a more compassionate medicine that was holistic. That's really where I fully understood what holistic meant. And I experienced it for the first time as well. I remember having my first yoga class and just being completely freaked out by all of the different emotions that I was feeling through the class. That combined with fasting and enemas, which back then it was so basic. An enema was literally a bucket of water that was holding on, it was on a hook above you, and you're laying on a plank and your butt's over the toilet and your feet are like on the wall, and you've got a tube going down with a peg in it, and you release the peg and the water like blasts out. Yeah, it was full on. It was a full on experience, but it was life-changing. So I think juice cleansing was the beginning for me. And from there, I read about naturopathy, and then I did a degree in Australia. And then I was overseas for some 10 years. After Australia, I opened a clinic in Ibiza. And then I went back to the UK, opened a clinic in London, and then online as we are now.
Okay, fantastic. So you've been doing this for what, about a couple of decades or 15 years or so?
I'd say so. Yeah. So I graduated in 2012 and I went into practice straight away. And part of my degree was with a teaching clinic.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
So I guess you're particularly familiar with like the Gerson method, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. But interestingly, that's frowned upon in naturopathic school. Naturopathic
So,
medicine as a curriculum is controlled by Big Pharma.
hmm,
And so the curative medicine, like the real juice in naturopathy, I had to learn once I'd left.
yeah.
Um, I'd left university and through practice, through clinical practice, you learn through the herbs, you learn through your patients, through all the stories and that accumulation, and then also doing your own presence practices. So I learned a lot after I did a Qigong retreat for a good 6 weeks in a summer
Hmm.
in Ibiza. And after that, I started receiving a lot of downloads and my practice moved more towards developing presence rather than patching people up and looking after their symptoms with herbal medicines and nutrition. So it went more inward.
Okay. Interesting. So what would you say in all, if you were to generalize, what would you say is one of the biggest, most common things you see with the people that come to you?
Gut issues, gut,
Hmm.
everything starts in the gut. Today, more so liver. We're seeing a lot of fatty liver disease, especially in like Gen Z in the younger generation, which is really freaky.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're treating the gut, then you also treat the liver. So they go hand in hand.
What do you reckon is causing that with the younger generation? Because liver disease is normally attributed to someone either, who's put a few years on the road.
Yeah, and who's had it was usually a fatty liver from alcoholism. I would say it's all the seed oils. I
Hmm.
think it's generations of seed oils and pesticides in food, and that's taking its toll now. Yeah.
Yeah. Toxic world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's I think there's something like 5,000 more toxins every single year.
it's
So
just crazy. It's the biggest thing that I put a lot of time into learning about, just because I think our ancestors, like, they never had to deal. Our ancestors might have been healthier, but they also didn't have to deal with the encyclopedia of random nonsense that we're bombarded with now.
exactly. And they were more connected to nature. They lived outside. They ate raw. They scavenged and they moved their body. All of these things contribute.
So you mentioned to me prior to this call that you're gearing up for another round of your updated version. Is that correct, or have I got that wrong?
So it updates every year because
Mhm.
of all the different environmental toxins. I update the cleanse each year. Um, and I update the information, I update the awareness of different environmental toxins and how we can detox them through the body, where to start with detoxification, which organ, for example. But this May, the 20th, we're running an online group cleanse whereby I've got two practitioners from my clinic doing the group calls. So usually you log onto my forum and there's a video each day of what to expect emotionally and biologically when cleansing and how to cleanse safely and effectively. But I don't always have the group calls. So I've got a really great nutritionist who's doing group calls on enemas and liver detoxification. And then I've also got my quantum coach who's introducing a modality called the emotion code and the body code, whereby you can facilitate yourself through trapped emotions in the body to move them out of the body to feel lighter. And she helps you to get the root cause of emotion. So let's say you're cleansing and you're on day 5 or 6, which is where the body goes from phase 1 to phase 2 liver detox. So you get angry, you get frustrated, you need to move, you need to have a PT session or go boxing or go for a run. She will help you with that frustration or that anger. She'll help you to find the core of that. So the very, very first time that you felt that anger or that frustration, and it's usually before the age of 7, before our conscious brain is fully developed, unconscious brain is fully developed. And then she'll help you to release that from the body. And when you've done that, you are going to such a deep level of processing that you feel super light afterwards.
That is very
So
interesting.
that's why I have the quantum coaching mixed in with the naturopathy.
Okay, that sounds like quite the powerful trio you've got going on there.
Yeah. So the third element is the naturotherapy, and that's for specifically dealing with trauma. So that's the somatic psychotherapy that really slowly moves people through trauma that they have held in the body, not as kind of quick and efficient as the quantum coaching, but this is for deeper traumas. So if someone's had a car accident, if somebody's parents died, if somebody had birth trauma, for instance, then this is a very guided, slow, facilitated approach. Yeah. And this is mainly what my guys are doing in the clinic. So I have an online clinic where you can see a naturopath for herbal medicine for like migraines or bloatedness or an autoimmune disease. And then you also can address the mental psychological component of that with the naturotherapy. And what I love about that is that it's not talk therapy. So the practitioner is doing most of the talking, and you are just feeling in your body and moving in your body in quite a playful way. So you're not re-traumatizing yourself by going into the story.
Ah, okay, yeah, because I find this is often the case with some modalities. They're just sort of re-triggering themselves every time, and it never really seems to go anywhere.
Yeah, just more money.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. So, would you say when one cleanses just physically with the juices, the gunk stored in these organs that's being released is directly related to these emotional stored things?
100%. That's what keeps us small and trapped down and in our own lockdown, is from harboring all of this shit that we don't need. We can literally just release it. We can release it through cleansing, through enemas physically releasing. I think 90% of serotonin is stored in the gut. So if your gut is full of mucoid plaque that's been sat there for years and years,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you're storing your emotions as well. This is our protection. This is where we hold on to so much. Once you release that physically with an enema, all sorts of stuff comes up. People were having dreams of exes from years ago. I say that a
Blimey.
cleanse is the best way. If you're going through a breakup, do a cleanse. You have the other person's bacteria with 3 bacteria to 1 human cell. So you're holding their bacteria. Get rid of it. Get rid of it with a cleanse, and then tune your frequency with the presence practices. So that of yourself, not of you and that other person. That's why
This,
it's so good at transitional points as well. If you're moving country, you're moving house, you're changing career, you need to let go of the old you and become the new you. You got to tune your frequency. You got to get rid of the shit, tune your frequency, stand in your power.
that's
Yeah.
fascinating. That makes a lot of sense, actually. I can't believe I've never really thought about it like that. So, what would you say the difference is between not just mechanically, but in efficacy, like between a colonic and an enema?
Okay. A colonic, well, an enema is 2 liters of water, unless you went where I went in Thailand and they give you a freaking bucket. Um, and a colonic is 20 liters. So a
Blimey.
colonic is much more invasive, is clinical. So you're not relaxed, you're not in your bathroom with your candles and your music, your high frequency music playing. You're not doing breath work and rubbing your belly in a certain way. It's clinical. It's necessary. Someone has chronic constipation, go sort yourself out with a colonic. But
Okay.
just for preventative health and to stay on top of your health, then an enema is absolutely fine. At each season's change. And people can get addicted to enemas because it gives you such a rush. It gives you an endorphin rush as everything's exiting because you've got so many nerve endings around the anus. So people get a high from it, and then they're like, "Can I do another one? Can I do it every week?" No, don't do that. You don't want to be cleansing all the time. You want to live your life. Cleansing is compartmentalized.
Are we talking green coffee enemas here?
Um, just coffee in
Or
general.
oh, okay. And so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's green or not then.
I say organic.
Yeah.
I haven't found such a releasing effect from the green coffee as I have from
Ah,
normal coffee. Yeah. But
interesting.
definitely
Okay.
organic and definitely spring water, nothing coming out of the tap
Yeah.
ever. Leave that alone. Yeah.
And the what are the enemas
The
actually made
benefit.
from? Because I guess they could if you get like a cheap one, it could be made of BPAs and all this kind of malark.
Yeah. So we offer a purify pack as part of the cleanse, and we have a
Hmm.
BPA free enema kit. And it's just like a little bag and a tube, and you hang it on your doorknob. Super simple. But the main benefits of the enema is boosting glutathione, and so that's without the coffee, you don't get that hepatic benefit. Basically, the coffee needs to stay in for 3 minutes, and then it circulates the hepatic portal, and that boosts antioxidant, which is the body's biggest antioxidant, glutathione. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay,
That like
so
sets off all other antioxidants to go into process.
yeah, the master key antioxidant.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I have some experience with the Gerson method. But yeah, I will have to do a bit more research. What are your thoughts on something I've only recently come across? Citrus pectin, modified citrus pectin. Are you aware of that?
No. Is that like grapeseed extract?
No, so someone was telling me it's basically like the kind of pectin you'd make jam with, basically, like from like organic citrus peel. But they
Okay.
modify it somehow. I don't quite understand that yet, but essentially it's a really powerful binder, selective binder for heavy metals, but it also gets rid of a lot of the plastics and like forever chemicals,
Oh,
whereas
nice.
your zeolites don't hit those things as much as the metals. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just something
Um,
I've never heard of until literally yesterday. So I'm kind of like, a bit more.
Grapeseed extract is being used for decades, and that's the closest thing I can think of to the pectin that you're talking about. Amazing. All pectins are brilliant binders.
And I see you lot use the psyllium husk as well.
Psyllium husk, absolutely.
Is-
So you drink the psyllium husk, and that expands in the gut.
Mhm.
Well, firstly, the night before, you have a cup of clay with bicarb of soda in there. The
Oh,
clay
mixed
is
together.
bentonite clay, yeah, calcium bentonite, bicarb of soda, and some salt as well. So
Okay.
this goes into the colon, fills the colon, only the lower part of the colon. And then in the morning, you have the psyllium husk, and that acts like a brush, and that sits behind the clay. And then you have a solvent, which is our first juice of the day, which has orange, lemon, and grapefruit in there. And that breaks it all up together. And then after that, you do the enema, and that's what flushes it out. So without that trio, you could just, when you have people doing cleanses willy-nilly and they're having psyllium husk at this point, and then loads of water, and then maybe an enema like 4 hours later, it doesn't quite work as effectively. Yeah, there needs to be a system.
It sounds like you've refined it quite well actually over the years.
I have, yeah.
I
I've been
saw
running the camp since 2015, and it's got better every year. Yeah.
I saw on your website that you had worked with the Rolling Stones
Guns N'
manager or something.
Roses. Yeah.
How did that come about then? That sounds like an interesting story.
So, when I left that detox retreat in Thailand, I went to Australia and I was there on a working holiday visa. And I worked at the Sydney Hilton Spa as a massage therapist. And this is whilst I was applying to get onto the naturopathy degree. Um, so I was already a trained massage therapist. I was there as a beauty massage therapist, and Good Charlotte would come in and all these different rock bands. And I massaged Good Charlotte one time. And what's the freaking name? Nicole
Good
Richie.
Charlotte. I haven't listened to them for a few decades.
And they asked me to go to LA with them and then to go on tour with them. And I
Yeah.
couldn't. But a friend of mine also in the spa went. So I was like, I can't, I'm about to study naturopathy. I'm going to have to be in Australia. So she went. And when she went, she met this lady called Dr. Dot. And she was doing VIP massage. And she'd set up a whole team all over the States. She was killing it. And I saw that she hadn't set up a team in Australia. So I got her details. I sent her an email and I was like, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to do the same thing in Australia. Hire me or I'm going to be your competition. So she hired me, literally. She got a reference then and there from Good Charlotte. She hired me within 20 minutes. And then she sent me all of these numbers from different managers who of musicians that were touring in Australia. So basically, I would go rock up at the gig, I'd set up in the dressing room, I'd massage the crew or the band before they went on. And then I'd watch the gig, and then I'd go to the after party, and then the after party. And then I ended up going on tour with a few really great bands. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I bet that was a bit of a rock and roll fun old time that.
It was. That's before I learned all about naturopathy and how to look after your liver. Yeah.
So the liver took a little bit of a toll during those times. We've all been there. So knowing what you know now,
Sure.
what are your thoughts on is there anything in your program that specifically addresses glyphosate, or is that just in the umbrella of things that's targeted?
Oh, it's tricky. Specifically for glyphosate, I would say ormus.
Ormus.
So
So like
ormus,
gold ormus or
monoatomic gold, which
hmm.
is depleted in the soil. So we should have this in the soil. It should be coming straight from our food, but it's not in there. So as part of the cleanse, in the purified pack, everybody gets a little bottle of ormus, and you feed this to sprouts that you prepare on day 9 and 10 of the cleanse, which is the prebiotic food days. And ormus helps to displace heavy metals, specifically glyphosate. So
Interesting.
that's what I recommend specifically for glyphosate.
Okay.
But all in all, you have to heal your gut. If you've lived in America, if you've had genetically modified foods, you have to heal your gut. You've got to do the gut repair. And I've got a gut repair program which has L-glutamine, zinc, and some healing herbs like golden seal. That's imperative. And the whole reason that I did the juice cleanse initially in Thailand was because I had food intolerances so bad that I would fall asleep if I had a bite of sandwich. It was awful. It was like ME and chronic fatigue syndrome mixed together. My hormones were all over the place. I was on birth control because that's just what they did in the 90s if you were a teenager coming on your period. And so the reason that I did the detox was to try and sort all these issues out. It wasn't until later, when I was in my first year of naturopathy, that I learned the method and how to heal the gut. And I cured all of my food intolerances, all of them. And I was told I had intolerance to milk, soy, wheat, all legumes, gone. No more falling asleep, no more chronic fatigue. I was able to feel my own energy and feel how powerful I am for the first time.
How long did that take?
3 months.
3 months.
That's it. Yeah.
And that was consisting of all the lifestyle factors, eating right, and then multiple juice cleanse, I'm imagining?
No, no, literally a protocol, the gut repair protocol that I have on my clinic, and
Okay.
eliminating those foods for that 12-week period.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is the first thing that I put people on when it comes to the clinic. If they have autoimmune disease, if they have chronic fatigue, if they have long COVID, Epstein-Barr virus, I put them on this 3-month protocol alongside quantum coaching and naturotherapy if they need it. Yeah. And then like the end of that is the juice cleanse, because you need to be healthy in order to cleanse. You can't start cleansing your body when you're completely debilitated. Like what I did was actually quite dangerous in Thailand when I did my first cleanse. There was no support whatsoever. This huge bucket of coffee going into me. It was scary. I released so many emotions so quickly. Um, and they didn't know that I had had raw food for 3 days prior. I could have just been partying. I probably was partying. I had win on the next beach before I even went into it. So flushing out all of those drugs from the liver, that they go into the bloodstream, you can feel absolutely awful, and you can even die if you do it wrong. So
Blimey.
yeah, there's a lot of preparation that's needed before you get to the point where you can cleanse. If you're ill, if you're debilitated, if you're super toxic, if you've lived a high functioning lifestyle where you work really hard and you party really hard. Yeah.
And so let's say someone's comes to you who's got like a similar situation to yourself, or that you had, or worse, where they've got like long COVID or something. Are you seeing results in the same 12-week span, or does it sometimes take a bit longer or shorter?
Everybody's different. It just depends. It depends how committed you are. It depends how ready you are. I don't take people on until I've had a conversation with them and I can really gauge with my medical intuition if they're ready to go all in. Um, it just depends on the person. Some people shorter than that. Most people who are aware and awake
Mhm.
and on their conscious evolution journey, they'll feel results and see results from the herbs within 3 weeks. So they'll start feeling a lot better in 3 weeks. Yeah. If somebody came to me with long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome and they wanted to do a cleanse, I would have a call with them first and say, hang on a minute, let's just sort these things out. Let's get your energy levels up. Let's get your sleep right. Let's calm your nervous system. And then we'll get you on a cleanse. And it's something to look forward to. You know, people go through the Naturo method and the end of it is doing a cleanse. And that's where they feel. So the Naturo method is taking their power back with facilitation from practitioners. And the cleanse is where they are really standing in their power and feeling more powerful. And then it's
Right.
something they can do every year to just top up. So they're empowered afterwards. They don't have to come back to me. They don't have to come back to the clinic. They can do it by themselves. And that's ultimately where I want people to be. I want this to be accessible and affordable to everybody, to take your power back and be powerful by yourself.
That's wonderful. So they become basically autonomic, so they can manage themselves afterwards. You give them the tools.
100%. And this is, you know, we are only entering into like a fraction of our human potential. Like we have like boundless creativity. And when you cleanse, and I'm sure you've experienced this through carnivore diet and all the wild practices that you've done,
Mm.
like we have access to the World Wide Web. We don't need to go online on the internet. We have access to everything. And when you're in that state of presence and connected to your heart and the ground, we've got to be grounded, then it all is able to come through. And yeah, creativity is limitless. You know this as a musician, as a DJ, you know this.
Yeah, there's a lot of interference to stifle this unlimited potential we naturally have. And that kind of segues into something I wanted to ask you about. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, I can probably imagine what they are, but what are your, do you have any techniques or tools to mitigate the modern situation of EMFs that we're currently facing? Because yeah, I'm always looking for more tools in my kit for that, because I just feel it's just relentless. There's no real escape from it. Like, even if you're on the most remote island, you still got full signal. It's all around us. So I anything that can help people with the technology they can't necessarily avoid.
So I don't think we need to avoid it. I think that consciousness has raised enough through COVID that we don't need to avoid it. We can tune our frequency by doing these practices and elevating our conscious vibration, our conscious awareness, and just that, tune your own frequency. I went through a phase in 2018, 2019, where I think I was super paranoid about EMFs, and I lived in this house with paint that was protective, and I had different machines, and I slept on magnets and flipping out, like everything you can imagine. I must have looked like a mad person. The only thing I didn't have was like a literal tinfoil
I was
hat.
about yeah.
Although I did have a cap that had foil on the inside of it. And I wore magnets. Like I was that loco lady. And since then, since COVID happened, and COVID was an incredible time for receiving information because everything was so quiet on another level. Obviously, it was awful. It was a huge awakening. It was Corona crowning down consciousness and shaking things up, shake up for a wake up. But I received a lot of downloads and a lot of information during that time on how to progress with the Natura method and with cleansing. And the main thing was to have no fear of all of these different technologies coming in. Have no fear.
I respect that. I keep hearing this same kind of mindset, I think.
Because we're more powerful. Our own technology is more powerful. But you have to activate it. You have to switch it on. You have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're saying, what your thoughts are, how you're feeling. Are you feeling? I was numb for years. I was partying because I was numb, and that's the only way that I could feel something. Like out the other side of that, I don't even drink alcohol anymore. Like I feel everything. And also on this process, if you're going from numb to feeling and to becoming more conscious, you will have a time where you're super sensitive to EMFs, you're super sensitive to all technology around you. And that's okay. And be okay with that and know that that's going to pass as you get stronger. So that's just part of the process as well.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice.
So and I'm not saying go to sleep with a router right next to your head or your phone next to your head. Be sensible, but don't be paranoid. Try and switch Wi-Fi off at night for sleep hygiene. Try and walk outside, get your bare feet on the ground. And there are these really cool devices that actually change the artificial radiation to a natural radiation. Because when you cocoon yourself off, if you create a Faraday cage for yourself, you're going to get sick because you're not attached to the Schumann's resonance and the natural radiation that we're in.
Yeah, I've got have you come across like a Soma Vedic technology?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think these things are quite handy. So I was going to ask you as well, what's your bigger plan for the future then? What's your like overarching vision? Where do you see, because I can imagine just from how driven you are, you've got some next goals and ambitions you're wishing to achieve.
You nearly said it. Next level living. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going for.
Okay, and what does that look like when it's complete then?
It's never complete. It's all about a journey.
I knew you were going to say that.
The next level living. I practice something called sassy, and this is for women to always be in touch with their own power, with their presence. And I really want to put that out to the world. So the Natura method and the RN cleanse are always going to be there, but my focus and what I'm moving towards is specifically helping women to get back in touch with their sexuality, the sexual power, their fertility, and the practices that I teach then help men also to boost their testosterone and their fertility through the woman doing the practices with them. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. And that's also my way of cleansing the world and grounding my energy and being able to be high functioning and run different projects. This is my release and my rejuvenation, and it prevents burnout. So yeah, that's the direction I'm going in.
Fantastic. And what, looking to stay in Panama or Central America, or is that just temporary?
So we were actually meant to be in Texas right now, in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
We love it here. We postponed, so we're going to stay here as long as we can. We also have some plans for Brazil, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Does any kind of forest medicine intrigue you down that way, or you gone beyond that?
Not really. Not really. I've never been into psychedelics, never done ayahuasca or anything like that. There is one mushroom that I'm a big fan of, and that's Amanita muscaria. I think it's the most powerful mushroom on the planet. Specifically with its ability to help people with PTSD, like severe PTSD. And I think that mushrooms, fungi, and empowered women are going to change the world. And I think that mushroom in particular has a big part to play.
Interesting. That's definitely a strong stance that most people wouldn't be witness to prior to this. So if people wanted to start today in getting more in line with the upgraded version of humanity, this next level living you speak of, and they're just in the, most people that listen to this at this point in time would probably be somewhat switched on, I would imagine. So, but there's so many things out there. What would you say is like most bang for your buck if you need to get from A to B as quickly as possible, for just a normal person? Would you recommend if they started today, kind of thing?
Who's normal?
Well, okay, average then. The systematic, laid out approach to living.
Okay, someone who's working 9 to 5, Monday
Eating
to Friday.
normal food, yeah, just like living the normal TV and Big Brother.
Okay. Stop drinking tap water. That would be number one. I'll give you 3 things. Okay, stop drinking the tap water. Do a quantum coaching session. I've had people who are like, that's woo-woo, that's so far out. What are you even talking about? What is quantum? And they've done a session and they've been like, whoa, what just happened? I feel so much lighter. Some people start laughing hysterically afterwards and they get high on it. And they feel a natural high. So they're feeling like the joy authentically for the first time. So yeah, stop drinking tap water, drink spring water, do a quantum coaching session, and spend more time in nature. Those 3 things.
Get on board with that. You've definitely piqued my interest with this quantum coaching. I was not familiar with the term until looking at your website. So how does it, I mean, you touched on it briefly earlier, but how does it differ from like other things out there?
It's working on the quantum plane. So it's not digging up memories. It's using a map. So the practitioner's using a map and they're going through this map to find out root causes. It was actually developed by a chiropractor, the modality that they're using, but I have tweaked it, and it also has some Naturo method psychotherapy in there, which is a way of questioning. You got to experience it.
And is this only a viable option in person, or can you do this over the?
It's all online. It's all online.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. And a session would normally run an hour, I'm imagining, or longer?
Yeah, it's about 50 minutes to an hour. And
Okay.
basically, you have the practitioner, and they're asking for permission if they can tap into your subconscious. And then they're on a timer, and they're going through this map, and they're questioning, and they're going through all these different things. And as they do that, all you're doing is laying there. You don't have to answer anything. You're just laying there chilling.
Oh yeah, you're
And
not even responding. That's what you said,
not
right?
even responding. Yeah.
Okay.
And then by the end of it, they tell you things about yourself that you're like, whoa, it took me like 5 years of talk therapy to find that out. How the hell did you know that? So they're like literally going through your subconscious and just pulling things out and finding the root cause. So a root cause might be an anesthetic that you had when you were a child for grommets, or it might be an antibiotic from the ear infections, or it might be emotional inheritance. So let's say your great granddad died in the war, or your great grandmother was committed suicide. Like all of these things are held in the body, and that's what they're accessing. Yeah, it's fascinating. And it could go on for hours. Like you have to put it on a timer, because if you were to the subconscious is endless, and you could just keep going. So we recommend 3 sessions for chronic illness to really feel some major difference. And then the herbs go hand in hand with that. The herbs are helping with the physical body and the complaints, but this is getting to a deeper level. So without the quantum work, symptoms can come back. Diseases can manifest in different ways. But once you've done the quantum work and you exactly, and it's the unspoken stuff, it's the subconscious stuff, it's the things that maybe a medical intuitive or a psychic can see and feel, but we can't tangibly understand.
Yeah, there's many unquantifiable things that 100% exist, but they can't write it down just yet. But I think I mean, unless we all blow up or something, but I'm pretty convinced science will get closer to spiritual understandings at some point. That they will get closer and closer until it's indistinguishable. I feel like I'm already starting to see things popping up in this manner. But so if no one's responding, so that the person's talking at you and you're laying there, and
they're clearing it for you.
So how could you not experience the same thing from a recording?
No, because the practitioner is finding out what your issues are to start off with. So if you've got lots of brain fog, they're asking specifically about the brain fog and going through their maps to assess
prior to you laying down, you have a little bit of a
so it's about 5 minutes. What's going on for you? What can we work with? Okay, any idea where you think it came from? It happened when I was this age. Okay, cool. That's all they need.
Okay, so it's kind of saving a bit of time navigating the map, I imagine, at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, so if you're putting it up there with the old tap water, then it's got to be some top tier stuff. I'll definitely have to try that. That's something I've not yet experienced. Have you come across something called IFS?
No.
Internal family systems. There's a lot of people.
Oh yes.
Raving at me about that at the moment.
Yeah. So this uses elements of that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And
there's so many different modalities, and honestly, I've tried everything. I've done internal family systems, NLP, CBD, somatic experiencing. Yeah, I tried everything, and I really feel that the quantum coaching and the naturotherapy is the best of the best practitioners that I could find out there.
How
Yeah.
did you come across the quantum
The
therapy?
quantum coaching
Quantum
through
coaching,
trial
yes.
and error, through trialing lots of different practitioners and lots of different modalities endlessly.
When was the first time you experienced it?
This specific modality I
Mhm.
experienced 3 years ago.
Oh, right. Okay. And
Yeah.
run me through, where was that? Oh, you don't have to share anything that's too personal, obviously, but I'm
So,
just curious
um,
how you come about it, because I'm always curious about new things like this.
this was from a lady, it was longer than that, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So I was a nutritionist in Cambridge at the Nuffield hospitals,
Mhm.
and there was a health mentor there, and she stayed with me. So we were working together there. She was a health mentor for my clients, and then she did my cleanse when I started running cleanses, and then she got into this modality, and now she's my quantum coach.
Okay. And the first experience, mind-blowing?
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
Completely, because she knew things about me that I'd never shared with anybody
Hmm.
and that I hadn't told her, and there's no possible way that she could know.
That's mad. I have to try this if it's as good as you say. Me knowing how well versed you are in all the things you know about from our previous discussions, then yeah, that does sound very interesting. So where would
It's
someone find that? Going straight to your website, or?
Yeah, jump onto realnaturo.com and go into the shop, and under shop you'll see quantum coaching. Yeah.
Okay, and then it's
What's
done
interesting,
over.
it's a fast track. That's what I love about it. It's a fast track. It's like the things that took me years to even discover about myself, like things that happened in my childhood, for instance. I had to find out through therapy or hypnosis or whatever else, whatever modality. And these practitioners are able to just go there straight away and be like, okay, this is where it is. But then you don't need to go into the story. You don't need to know anything more about it. You just need to know the root cause, where that was in time and space, and then remove it.
And the removal is what, just becoming aware of it and it's just released, or is there like a?
You don't even need to become aware of it. The
Oh,
practitioner does, which is quite amazing. But they
that's
will
mad.
send
Yeah,
you afterwards, they'll send you everything that they've cleared in the session. Yeah.
fantastic. And when's your next round? Your
Next
RM?
cleanse,
Yeah, when's that beginning?
May the 20th. So the last sign up is on May the 14th. That's beginning on May 20th. 5 group calls with brilliant nutritionists and a quantum coach, and myself. I'll be jumping on a couple of those calls as well. Access to a forum with loads of information aside from the cleansing videos. And just a really beautiful tribe of people coming together to share their experience and their stories and all their rebellious ways and how they've broken through the rules of science. So yeah, looking forward to that. And I would
Oh,
love to give your listeners a discount as well. 20%
oh,
discount.
whoa! Oh, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That's fantastic news. We'll have to. I'll put that in the show notes then. We got a month left, and yeah, just looking at your testimonials you had on the website, the people there basically having life-changing experiences.
Mhm.
So I'd recommend anyone listening to take that opportunity of 20% off. That's thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you wish to if you've okay, I got a question for you. If you were to go back in time and speak to 18-year-old version of yourself, what would you say? It's a bit of a ridiculous question, I know, but
It's not a ridiculous question at all. Stay free. That's what I'd say. Stay free.
okay. And all right, I like that.